Good morning. This morning I have Jose Fernandez and my friend James Zappi here, but the guy that I really want to get inside the brain of, no offense to you, James.
No, of course not.
But Jose, you and I have we've pondered this thought of singularity, and I know that's a huge leap from talking about entrepreneurship, but I think it's very, very important that we start having this conversation, because I have come to the conclusion that I don't think most Americans, most humans in general, realize just how fast technology is moving. Now, in the context of singularity, I'm going to throw something at you here. I don't know if you ever saw the first Star Trek movie, but I'm
familiar with the mythology. Yeah.
Okay. In that movie, Gene Roddenberry has done a great job of helping all of us young people leap forward in dreaming things that we didn't even know could be possible. But in there, the concept is the V'ger is actually the Voyager, and at the end of the movie, a human being and a computer basically interface with one another. And that's it. For me, being a kid, I probably was 10, 12 years old the first time I saw that movie. It was just like, I didn't even grasp what I was seeing. And then years later, a guy made a joke, and he's like, well, that's singularity. No, it's not that simple. So the problem that I see here is this technology is evolving. So tell the viewers where we are in the concept of when computers become... when we as humans are no longer at the top of the food chain, if you will.
Well, in a sense, we are not already. I mean, we're extremely dependent on technology. And the singularity, there are multiple technologies that come together to bring about the singularity. So you have things like AI, blockchain, robotics, IoT, biotechnology, and all of these are growing at an exponential rate simultaneously. So it becomes really difficult. Even if you're in a specific domain, it becomes difficult to see how fast things are moving, let alone when you kind of try to look at the macro picture.
Right, pull back.
Yeah, my background, it's actually microbiology.
Okay.
That's what I went to grad school for. And even in that domain, it was pretty evident that things were growing at an exponential rate. So when you look at, for example, the price of sequencing a genome over time.
Oh, that used to be a number that was unfathomable.
The Human Genome Project, which finished in 2000, took a couple $1 billion and 10 years. Can do the same thing now in a day for $1,000. So you're looking at a trillion-fold decrease in sort of price performance. And that's just in a single domain, in a very tiny area.
Right.
And when you look at what's happening in blockchain, for example, we have just an immense amount of improvement in all areas, ranging from renewable energy to AI, logistics, supply chain management, just all of these things happening simultaneously. And what we're moving towards is, I feel, a fully automated economy. It's kind of like a machine economy. And sort of society of minds, if you will, in regards to the AIs.
I see the rise of the super brain.
Yeah, it's definitely happening. And so many pieces are being built simultaneously. Like I said, it's just very difficult to see. So it's one of those things where you don't really see it until it happens. It's kind of like a black swan event.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
These things don't happen slowly. They happen, and then there's this lurch.
Real quick, and when I just came back from an IT conference, I think I had mentioned that to you guys.
Yeah.
One of the things that IBM was stressing is that they're incorporating Watson into every single product that they have, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's cloud, whether it's research and development. You're starting to see that the emergence of their AI project called Watson that's just growing every single day. They said that by 2025, every single one of their products, whether it be computers all the way down to software management, software-defined WAN and stuff like that, is all going to have Watson incorporated into it.
Right.
One of the things that kind of worries me about the direction that things are going now is that it's largely centralized.
Sure.
So you have a handful of corporations and large governments that control most AI R&D.
Absolutely.
And what do they use it for? Well, target advertisement, killing people, brainwashing people into buying things they don't need, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But platforms are being built to enable a more decentralized, participatory way of development. And there are many projects involved in this. To name one, and this is not any kind of financial anything.
Right.
There is a project, it's open source, it's called Singularity Net.
Singularity Net.
Yes. And what it is, it's a decentralized AI marketplace.
Okay.
So right now, if you're an AI developer in India or South Africa or Madagascar, it doesn't matter. You can be one of the best in the planet, but because of where you're located,
you can't reach anybody.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't get a job at Google or Facebook.
But this is where blockchain comes into play, because now you can create something and hold on to it.
Yes. Now you can create something, put it on the internet in an open, decentralized marketplace, and anyone who needs AI services can request from that network.
Yep.
And the transactional mechanism is all done through cryptographic tokens.
Sure.
So borderless, permissionless, censorship resistant.
And here lies this paradox. You know, I've got a few years on everybody in this room, but I call it the 1984 effect. Here just a couple weeks ago, there was a lot of talking about, 36 years ago, Apple was here and da-da-da. 36 years ago was the 1984 Super Bowl commercial that Apple, the woman in the orange shorts, and we've become prisoners. I mean, that commercial was talking about how we were going to be liberated. And in effect, we become prisoners because I can't leave my house without this phone. I go into attachment disorder. And so the thing that really excites me, what you're telling me, is that blockchain offers the opportunity to democratize.
Exactly.
Once and for all, democratize. Because going back to the 1984 effect, the thing that scares me that's happened in my lifetime was we had the invention of the computer and we had trickle-down economics happen at the exact same time. And I know nobody was smart enough to step back and look at this and go, wait a second, how's this going to work out? But we ended up now with a billionaire class because what in effect happened was the technology shrunk the workforce and it created wealth. And it is like squeezing a balloon.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about is the leveling of that out. What scares me is, okay, we're going to create a culture of superbrains.
Yeah.
We're going to create people in the very near future that are going to very much mimic Nemo in the Matrix. I mean, we're talking plug and play. I just saw a clip the other day where I forget whether it was Amazon or somebody's working on the actual sensors to place in the brain.
Yeah. Brain-computer interfaces have been in the work for decades now.
Sure. It's the holy grail.
Yeah. The main target right now, it's helping people that have kind of disabilities.
Well, sure. The muscle stimulation.
Exactly. But that will definitely move on into other things. Sure. And something about Singularity Net is that one of the features that makes this platform so unique is that it's specifically designed to enable AIs to request services from other AIs. So if I gave an AI an article to translate, and let's say that some parts of the article are on a different language that that AI doesn't understand, well, that AI can now basically delegate that work to another AI. So you can have cooperations between AIs.
Really?
Yeah. So that's where the idea of the society of minds comes into play.
Yeah.
Because, the brain, it's not sort of a single piece of equipment. Different areas of the brain take care of different parts of your, I want to say, consciousness. I don't.
Well, and I've got a gentleman coming in here later that we're interviewing who's an artist. And, I've seen Musk and a couple others kind of rail against AI. Along these lines, where it's like, hey, look, we can't put the genie back in the bottle, and we're moving towards this concept of singularity at lightning speed.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that I get behind wanting to interview artists is, and this is kind of an open question to you about what you're talking about, AI and machine learning. It seems to me that while AI and machine learning does have the ability to learn, it's that creative aspect. It's that colony of brains. It's that colony of minds that have the creative aspect to be able to point AI in a direction. Will there ever come a day when artificial intelligence will have creativity?
So this plays into values, right? There is no kind of standard set of values.
Right.
It becomes difficult because things that you might consider to be completely okay, someone else might think it's
off the rails.
Yeah. So right now, if these open source platforms do take a large share of the AI economy, what you can have is influence from people from all around the planet. So you get a more homogeneous set of values where everything is mixed in. And as far as creativity, it's tough. It depends on what your definition of creativity is, I guess.
I have a question for Jose. In the large spectrum of things, are you going to have a battle between companies that do want to centralize AI and the community that wants it decentralized? Obviously, I'm for decentralization.
Absolutely. But wealth is always going to want to have a control.
So, absolutely, because that's what I'm seeing now. When you see AI Watson and you start seeing a lot of these other projects going on, you start seeing the corporations now fighting to keep this thing decentralized. And then you see the opposition, which is a lot of these open source projects that involve AI who want to decentralize it as well.
So what's different this time around is that the blockchain enables open source to be monetized, right? So you have things like Linux, which is open source, and it's at the core of everything, right? And you have protocols like HTTP or email protocols like POP3 and IMAP. Everyone uses those, but they're not monetizable. What the blockchain does is that it enables open source software to be attached to a financial product, which will be a cryptographic token. And that monetary incentive is what I feel it's going to push adoption of the open source alternatives versus the centralized alternatives.
We have to.
Yeah. So creating that monetary incentive is key. It's a key aspect to enable open source to really, really take advantage over the centralized options.
And not to hit the exit ramp here too early, but you know, the thing that has fascinated me so much about the cryptocurrency thing is that there was a financial incentive naturally because it was a tokenized currency. But what that financial incentive ended up doing was creating blockchain.
Yeah.
It was the chicken and the egg.
Another great example of where these open source networks are really taking a hold is in energy trading.
Yeah.
Particularly renewables.
Yes.
So there is a project that created a platform that enables peer-to-peer energy trading. So if you have solar panels and a battery,
you can identity and
and this goes beyond just passively selling energy because it also enables you to through smart contracts, which we're not going to get into, software. Okay, it enables you to sell energy at peak demand hours, so you can get the highest revenue.
Sure. It's surge pricing.
Exactly. So you kind of be more of an active participant in the energy market.
This is why I have been pushing so hard on unbundled billing and retail electricity competition. Is because my argument is that as James and I rail against the corporations, they don't have an incentive to change.
No.
And when you look at states that have gone through that wormhole, you look at Texas. You talk about identity, of renewables. Texas has completely changed their grid in 20 years' time. because of competition and choice. And so I'm stoked about blockchain in energy. What I do find interesting is, back to what James said, over the past 2 or 3 years, I have seen a couple corporations, and I'm not going to drop names, who have started to get their hands on this idea of using blockchain for energy because it's in their own best interest. But once again, you go back to the monopoly issue.
Yeah, and there are also things like tokenizing carbon credit.
Absolutely.
That's another thing.
That's huge.
That's a big thing.
It's giant.
That's a big market. And right now, the way those are traded, it's a kind of a broken market with many brokers, exchanges, and everyone doing whatever they
It's
want.
an over-the-counter market.
Yeah. So the blockchain can bring transparency to those markets and enable people to be able to monetize. For example, you can have a farmer who's earning carbon credits by,
Absolutely.
and they can sell that and have a different sort of revenue stream.
Sure. Rather than just taking the obligatory price that the USDA pays them, they can monetize it at their own rate.
Which causes an incentive to go
do
green.
more.
Yeah.
To do more.
Yeah. So the monetary incentive, it's the key thing. It's enabling the monetization of all these different technologies, what really makes a difference.
So back to the singularity thing, and then let's close up this chat. You're going to come back for a conversation about water.
I actually work at
We're going to start a war over water.
I work at a water plant.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
The water conversation is profoundly interesting to me. But, so let me just ask you this last question in closing. How far
is the singularity?
Let me put this in context. In 1996, 1997, I had a 486 computer, and I actually walked people from the bar to my apartment in Kansas City to show them this new computer that I bought.
Wow.
Yeah, we were really proud of it.
Very excited.
Really excited.
That's pre-Pentium.
It was pre-Pentium, absolutely.
Pre-Pentium,
That's pre-Pentium. So the reality of it is, now I bought this laptop. James helped me set it up. 25 years ago, I could tell you the speed, the memory, all these things there were labels on the front of towers. You'd go.
That was a selling point.
That was a selling point. I can't tell you what this computer does. I just know it goes fast.
Yeah.
So where are we? How far are we from the precipice? How far before we go, oh my God, the genie's out of the bottle now?
So, in a sense, we're already in the thick of it. In a sense, it's already happening.
Right,
but as far as getting to a point in which sort of everyone... and that's the other thing. I don't know if everyone's going to become aware at the same time.
Right. It's going to be
But to get to the point in which it's obvious, it could be done, I think... I'm going to go with Ray Kurzweil's estimation. I'm going to say 2029. To put a year on it, plus or minus a couple years, and it depends because we might have delays because
no.
Let's say for instance
a black swan financial event stops
a pandemic hits and kills 20% of people.
Stops everything dead in its tracks.
Exactly.
No. When you're a shot caller, I totally understand there are externalities you don't have control over, but
I want to say 2029.
This goes back to the Oxford University white paper 3 weeks ago that says by 2030, 2035. 50% of the workforce is displaced.
Yeah.
That sounds fair. That actually sounds conservative.
I know. I had another guy in here a couple weeks ago that just laughed when I threw that statistic.
The monetary incentive to automate is huge, way too big.
And it's getting more and bigger every single year.
Absolutely.
It's getting more and more incentives to be.
Absolutely. James, Jose, this is awesome. We're going to do more. I want to do more rap sessions. I want to talk about difficult topics like water.
Okay.
There's a documentary I once heard of called Blue Gold, which has to do with the water wars of the world. So.
Well, water in the sense of drinking water,
just water,
because,
potable water.
Because if we are
you throw agriculture into the equation, this gets touchy.
Wow.
But if we want to kind of talk about technologies that are sort of kind of science fiction yet, then it's not a big problem. The solar system has a lot of ice.
Where I'm going with this to tease the viewers is this: monetization of water globally.
Ooh. Well, I look forward to that rap session for sure.
Yeah, that's. But
can we tokenize water?
Yeah, I mean,
Who knows?
let's have a chat about it. Thank
That
you,
sounds
gentlemen.
interesting.
No problem. Thank you.